Verzeo. Learn here, lead anywhere. Subscribe to our Verzeo channel and tap the bell icon to receive all notifications. Download the Verzeo app and get free content access.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening to all of you.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to Verzeo and
Thank you.
this webinar. And we'll wait for some of the people to come in for about 5 minutes, and we'll kick off the event.
Thank you.
All right, it's 6:05, and we shall begin. First of all, the participants is still pouring in. I think we can start without any further delay. Good evening and welcome to our second session, our first session for the series that is going to be followed for the next 7 to 8 days. I'm pretty sure every speaker who comes here is exceptional in their own right and very interesting to listen to. So without further ado, let me tell about today's topic and the person who's going to be speaking about it. Since it's the Science Day, we have a special program or a special webinar today on satellite-based navigation systems and emerging opportunities and trends in India. This is a very important and relevant topic to discuss right now. The government of our country, the government of India, has been really pushing towards the Atmanirbhar push towards the defense sector. So it would be interesting for us to know Sir's insights and also, a little bit of insight into his work of how things have been. And let me welcome Professor A.D. Sharma, sir. I would like to introduce about him. He is, I would say, Professor Dr. A.D. Sharma. That is how I would like to put it. He's a PhD from the London University in electronic and electrical engineering. He had done this way back in 1986. So you can imagine the number of experience that, the number of years of experience that he has. And let me talk more about him as a person and his experience throughout. He was associated with the Defense Electronics Application Laboratory that's in Dehradun, the Electrical Engineering Department of IIT Delhi, the Defense Electronics and Research Laboratory, Hyderabad, Telecommunications Divisions of the Electrical Engineering Department in Eindhoven University of Technology, that is in the Netherlands, and Wave Propagation Technologies, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Boulder. Sir, just sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to give a clear understanding as to where Boulder is. It's in it says CO.
It is in Colorado State.
Yes, Colorado State. I figured out some US state, but I did not know which one. So I thought I'd just put that across. Yes, so he's been in the US as well, now that you've mentioned. And he was also the director of Research and Training Unit for Navigational Electronics in Osmania University. That is a very central university back in, not a central, but a very prestigious university in Hyderabad. And presently he is the director, research and development of R&D Hub, Chaitanya Bharati Institute of Technology also in Hyderabad. So he is based out there, and he's successfully completed 22 projects and guided 20 PhD students and has more than 250 publications to his credit. He's organized 24 training programs, short courses, including 5 SERC schools on GPS, sponsored by the Department of Science and Technology, that is in New Delhi. This is a central department that is there under the Government of India. And he's also a chairman and member of several prestigious committees, that is the DRDO, ISRO, MIT, etc., and has given more than 80 talks at prestigious organizations. He has also been awarded the IETE Flight Lieutenant Tanmaya Singh Dandas Memorial Award in recognition of outstanding contributions in atmospheric time delays for improving the positional accuracy of GPS and providing training in the area of navigational electronics. His interests include GPS augmentation systems, atmospheric effects, mobile and green communications, high frequency antenna analysis, and microwave and millimeter wave systems. He was the editorial board member of the Indian Journal of Radio and Space Physics, CSIR, and guest editor for a special issue. He is a fellow, as I mentioned, of the previously mentioned IETE, IE, IGU, and member of AGU USA and senior member of IEEE. Sir, we welcome you with so many credits to your name. It is really a privilege for us to have you here. Before I hand over the dais to you, just a message for all the participants here. We have had amazing registration with regards to it. And personally, even I am very excited. I'm pretty sure all of us use Google Maps here on a daily basis, and pretty sure know on GPS. If you could really share some of the great work and insights you have done, and what are the opportunities that are available out there. We're elated to hear you, sir. Welcome you formally.
Thank you, Mr. Pratik. And good evening to all of you. And now I share this screen. You are able to see the screen? Yes or no?
Visible.
Visible. Yeah, my voice is also audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. And the topic I have chosen, which I have been working for the last couple of decades, is especially on GPS. GPS means satellite-based navigation systems. And when I was asked to give a talk on this one a couple of days back, I was very much hesitant because I'm not very much sure who will be the audience actually. Because of that, I find little time to compile all the material which would be useful for all of you. So in the process, I have got more slides than I can discuss upon. So please bear with me. Some of the slides I will skip. And also, you please don't try to read all the slides. What I can share some of the material with you, absolutely there won't be any problem. Try to listen as much as you could. And we'll see, you can, in the chat box, if somebody can help me in informing me about the queries, I'll be more than happy to do that. They clarify it.
I shall do that, sir. Any of the questions that are on the chat box, I will ask them at the end of the session. That's what a reminder for all the participants out there. Any questions you have in between or towards the end, right from the beginning for sir, you can just add them on the chat box and I will take them up at the end of the session.
Thank you. I organized my talk in the following way. Maybe I just, I'll go back and put it in a slide mode. Just hold 1 minute. Are you able to see the slide now? Full screen or not?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I will give a brief introduction about the significance of this date. And I'll briefly inform you about the beginning of space age and satellite orbits and satellite navigation principles, various navigational systems and NAVIC, that is Indian navigation, emerging opportunities and trends in India. I'll make a brief summary about that one. Okay. Today happened to be the National Science Day 2021. It is celebrated in India every year on February 28th to spread a message about the importance of science used in the daily life of the people. It is mostly to create awareness about the science and its applications nowadays actually. It marks the discovery of the Raman effect by Indian physicist Sir C.V. Raman back in 1928. For this discovery, he won the Nobel Prize in 1930 in physics, and he happened to be the first Asian person to receive Nobel Prize in any branch of science. The theme of this every year, this National Science Day has got a theme. Last year, the theme was Women in Science, whereas this year theme is Future of Science, Technology and Innovation, Future of STI, Science, Technology and Innovation, Impacts on Education Skills and Skills. Chandrasekhar Venkatraman, November 7th, 1988 to November 21st, 1970. For what he has got the Nobel Prize? He discovered Raman effect. The effect is the shift in wavelengths of light after it passes through transparent material. When light falls on a transparent material, it will be scattered. Most of the scattered waves will have the same wavelength, but part of the signal, reflected signal, scattered signal, will have a different wavelengths. For that discovery, he got the Nobel Prize. That is the significance of his Nobel. Now we start the beginning of spaces and satellite orbits. What is a satellite? It is an artificial body placed in orbit around the Earth or another planet in order to collect information or for communication. It is an artificial body. Today, PSLV launch vehicle, that is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, launched several satellites, including a Brazilian satellite. The purpose of the satellite is it will rotate around any planet, but for the, example, around the Earth. The purpose is to collect information or for communication. These two are the important aspects for that one. Why by satellites? What is the reason for it? Signal reception is better than by land. Signals can pass through the clouds and rain. It depends upon the frequency. Some may be absorbed, some frequency bands. Okay. As long as a satellite is in the receiver's horizon or in the receiver's visibility, a signal is always perceivable. It got a worldwide coverage we can have using satellites, and it will have a better accuracy than other ways of communication. First artificial satellite. History changed on October 4th, 1957, when the Soviet Union successfully launched the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik. That is nearly so many years back, more than 70 years back. It was named as Sputnik. Now the COVID vaccine is also from Russia, is named as the Sputnik. Okay. Since then, satellite-based communication and navigation fields have advanced leaps and bounds. When they launched this satellite, Sputnik, finding the orbit of the satellite, finding the orbit means when the satellite is revolving around the Earth, led to the concept of satellite-based navigation. Finding the orbit of the satellite, when they are investigating how to find the satellite's orbit, it is the beginning for satellite-based navigation. There are different types of orbits will be there, but I will simply mention the basic orbits, satellite orbits. One is LEO satellite orbit. It almost varies from 160 to 2000 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. And To cover one revolution around the Earth, it will take 1.5 hours, nearly. It depends upon the height. Typically, it is 1.5 hours. But what is the purpose of these low Earth orbit satellites? For remote sensing. Mostly LEO orbit satellites will be used. For sometimes it can be used for communication, but mostly it is used for remote sensing satellite. There is another set of satellites are there. MEO satellite, medium Earth orbit satellites. Its altitude varies from nearly 2,000 kilometers to 35,000 kilometers. But most of the times, all navigation systems, they have mostly MEO satellites. Not necessarily every time, mostly MEO satellites are more convenient. Different reasons are there for that. The other set of satellites are geostationary satellites. Geostationary satellite is at a height of about 36,000 kilometers. Its orbital period is nearly 24, it is 24 hours. When this is also known as a geostationary, means for a point on the surface of the Earth, it is appears to be stationary. So it got mostly it will be used for communication purposes. Is convenient for. There is another physicist there, very famous. He is Sir Arthur Charles Clarke. He is a Britisher, but settled in Sri Lanka. He is a science fiction writer. His contribution, best contribution, led to the popularity of the idea of the geostationary satellites. At that time, geostationary satellite communication concept was not there because of his imagination. In his fiction novel, he introduced the concept of communicating throughout the world using reflections from the satellites or other planets. He is very famous for a film called A Space Odyssey. He is a co-writer for that one. And every year in UK, they will give Sir Arthur Clarke Award annually for achievements in space. This geostationary satellite is also called as Clarke's orbit. There is another orbit here, geosynchronous orbit. What is the difference between geosynchronous orbit and geostationary orbit? The geostationary orbit, it sits at a height of 36,000 kilometers above the equator. Whereas geosynchronous satellite, it also sits at a height of 36,000 kilometers, but its orbit has got an inclination with respect to the equatorial plane of the Earth. If the inclination is 0, it will become a geostationary satellite. But both satellites, they are at a height of the 36,000 kilometers. They are for a particular point in space, there are more or less the geosynchronous satellite is also visible. To make it more clear, you can see how the geostationary satellites rotates, the red one, whereas the geosynchronous satellite moves around the Earth in this one. Now we move towards satellite navigation principles. What is navigation? One is position determination. The literal meaning is art of science of conducting an aircraft or vehicle from one point to another point. The difference between guidance and navigation is, suppose a guided missile is there. It will be, target will be loaded and it will be guided towards that point only. during his flight path, not necessarily it doesn't need to know the position at each and every instant of time before it hits the target. Whereas in navigation, when somebody is moving, if an user is moving from one point to another point from A to B, at each and every instant of time, he knows his position. That is navigation. At each and every point of his path, he knows the position. The literal meaning is art of science of conducting an aircraft or vehicle from one point to another point, knowing the position at each and every instant of time. The first satellite-based navigation system, the advent of Sputnik triggered a flurry of activities. There is a lab called Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. And there are some researchers are there, William and George. And they studied the signal of Sputnik, the first artificial satellite launched by Russia in 1957. They are excited by the regularity of its features. And they are very, very successful in finding out the orbit. At that time, Cold War was going on, and Russia and USA, they are at loggerheads. And what Russians are doing, they don't know, because they became the first persons to launch a satellite. These people, John Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, very famous. Now also it is famous in all, in several fields, including in finding the vaccination for this COVID. They recorded the Doppler shift data and determined the Sputnik orbit. How they determine the satellite orbit? By finding out the Doppler shift of the incoming signal, how that is transmitted from the Sputnik. What they did is, they put several receivers across USA, and they studied the Doppler shift at each and every point, and using some mathematical equations, a simple mathematical equation, they were able to find the orbit. In other words, by placing the receivers on the ground, they are able to find the position of the satellite. Okay? The basic point is, they put the receivers on the ground, widely separated. They studied the incoming frequency and they calculate the Doppler shift. Using that information, they are able to find the position of the satellite. That is the concept of their studies. The first transit system, first satellite-based navigation system is transit. Okay. There is another researcher, Frank T. McClure. The people at Hopkinson Laboratory, they find the position of the satellite. He thought, why not to calculate the position of the transmitter on ground, how they previously Sputnik in the space, receivers on the ground. Using the information, received information, they found the position of the satellite. Why not the other way around? You keep the more satellites in space and one receiver on the ground. Then you receive signals from the satellite from different directions. By receiving the signals from the satellites, you can find your position. That was the concept, and that project is known as transit navigation. It was sponsored by US Navy, and that was developed rapidly by John Hopkins Laboratory. It happened in around 1968. In January 1964, they are able to fix the position. Fix the position means they are able to find the position of the user by using this type of techniques. The satellites are in circular orbit about 10,000 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. The orbital period is 107 minutes. But we will get the position of the user on the ground about every half an hour to 1.5 hours. Sometimes you will get half an hour, every half an hour you will get update. Sometimes you will get about 100 minutes. Only 4 or 5 times you will get in a day the position of the user. Okay, that is how it happened, the starting of the navigation, first satellite-based navigation system, transit system. That is meant for US Navy. These are the satellites, transit satellites that were launched in 1968. So they tested the several aspects in finding the position of the user. They tested how these signals will be affected by ionosphere, whether the frequency sources, transmitting frequency sources are stable or not, and all the payload components are how stable are there. They got lot of information from this project. There is another project was given by, every time it was given by Navy. This project is also for Navy, Naval Research Laboratory, 1964. How to synchronize the systems on the ground. They float, they put on board the satellites, so atomic clocks. The purpose is to provide very precise time throughout the world. Times transfer between points on the surface of the Earth. It provides very both precise time and accurate precision to passive terrestrial users using range rather than Doppler measurements. That is a timation project. It is, the purpose is to inform or transmit the very precise time throughout the world. The first one is to find the position on the surface, on the ground, using Doppler effect. These are the two important aspects before developing the system, this GPS system. You can see here, the US Air Force under a program known as, codenamed as 621B, carried out in this direction. The US Air Force, they have given a project. It is codenamed as 621B. That initiated a project 621B, which eventually evolved into the Navistar program, that is GPS program. The object of this project was to know the position of Trident missile, a submarine launched ballistic missile equipped with multiple independent targetable re-entry vehicles. Okay, the objective is to know the position of Trident missile. That is, when they launch the missile from the submarine, they want to know position of the missile at each and every point. Okay, that is the for that. Okay, that is the Trident missile, old picture. So they were very successful in it. But what happened is the Air Force people, they don't want to go for the satellite-based navigation system. They want to buy several Air Force flights, aircraft, and get information from the missile to fix its position. But the one professor and first program director and Professor Bradford Parkinson, he convinced one military person, that is McClung Fury, third in the DOD, Defense Department of Defense chain of command. He briefed him for about 3 hours in his very, very small room. It is not that you use the flight aircraft and find the position of the missile. If you use, based on our experience in transit system and time machine project, we can have a very good satellite-based navigation system. Those 3 hours in a small room by Professor Parkinson has convinced him to go for the GPS project.
I haven't made a sheet. You need to start from scratch.
No, that sheet.
So based on this discussion, approval to proceed with the GPS concept was granted in a memorandum dated 1973. The first project was given in 1973. So US Department of Defense decided to establish, develop, test, acquire and deploy GPS in the year 1973. The result of this one is Navstar GPS, that is navigation, satellite, timing and ranging global position system. Okay, that is how the GPS system is evolved. So now we will see a little bit of the logistics and the science behind it. How we can find the position of the user using a satellite signal. So how many satellite signals are necessary to find your position? Suppose if there is only one satellite is there in space and you are receiving signals from it, is it possible to find your position? Suppose one satellite means what information you can get it. The maximum information you can get it is a satellite is transmitting the signal. You are sitting on the image. This is the surface of the earth. From the time you receive the signal, if you know the travel time of the signal, you can multiply with the velocity of light and you can calculate the distance from the satellite to you, and you can be anywhere on the imaginary circle with a radius of that R1. What is R1? R1 is equal to travel time of the signal into velocity of light. So that information is not sufficient to fix your position, because that information will give you, you can be anywhere on the surface of the imaginary sphere at a distance of 20,000 kilometers, because the GPS satellites are placed at 20,000 kilometers. Suppose if you got 2 satellites and you are receiving the signals from 2 satellites, what type of information you can get it is, again, if you have 2 imaginary circles, these circles, they will intersect at this point of time on this conical shape. You will be anywhere on this one. So it is very difficult proposition to find the exact position. So even that 2 signals are also not sufficient. For example, you are receiving 3 signals from 3 satellites. That means you can fix your position. You will be anywhere near these 2 points. If you know, because it is a circles with a radius of 20,000 kilometers, the intersecting points will give you your position. In this figure, it appears as if they are very close. It is not, because they are very far. If you know already where you are, for example, you are in India, the other point will be in Singapore or much further than that one. So if you already know you are in India, you can find the position of your position. So a minimum 3 satellites are necessary to find your position. So how the satellites are there? Suppose, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4 satellites are there. X1, Y1, Z1, X2, Y2, Z2, X3, Y3, Z3, X4, Y4, Z4, X3, YU, Z2. All these satellites, if you receive 4 signals for 4 satellites, you can solve these 4 equations simultaneously and find out the 4 unknowns. What are those 4 unknowns? That is your user position, XU, YU, ZU, and the time difference between the transmitter and the receiver. These are the 4 unknowns. That means you need 4 signals from 4 satellites. And if you solve those 4 equations simultaneously, you can find out your XU, YU, ZU. That is the ultimate. That is, you can convert those XU, YU, ZU into latitude, longitude, and altitude. The beauty of this thing is, no 2 points on the surface of the earth will have the same latitude, longitude, and altitude. Instead of giving long addresses, just if you give XU, YU, ZU or lat, long, altitude, it is sufficient. Now, it has become part and parcel of everybody's life, GPS. It is impossible to find an area where GPS has no application. Everywhere you got an application. It is impossible to live without GPS or GPS type of things, including smartwatches, agriculture, medical, everywhere. In drones. What is a drone? What is the expansion of drone? Drone is dynamic, remotely operated navigation system, navigation equipment, drone. It is also works on the same principle. Drones have become also several applications are there. Quadcopter, several applications. Small drones to unmanned aerial vehicles and that. How the system works actually. For this, GPS has got 24 satellites. Nominally, now actually 31 satellites are there. All these satellites are sitting in 6 orbits. For orbits A, B, C, D, E, F. Each orbit can accommodate 4 satellites. They are continuously revolving around the Earth. 24 satellites, 6 orbits, they are continuously, they are sending the signals. They are sitting at a height of 20,000 kilometers. Each satellite, if you are in India, is visible for about 6 to 10 hours. If you go to high latitudes toward the north, you may receive more signals also. Okay. Suppose what is the purpose of these satellites? Positioning in different orbits and different ways. The reason is, if you cut open this one, this is a 3-dimensional, you need some imagination. If you cut open this one, it appears like this. This is in the equatorial plane. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orbits. Each orbit is inclined with the equatorial plane at a 55 degrees angle. This inclination is 55 degrees. But each orbit is separated by 60 degrees. So 60 into 60, 6 is equal to 360 degrees. It will cover the whole Earth. And the position, how they keep these things, why 6 orbits, why they are separated with 60 degrees, why they are inclined with 55 degrees to the equator. It depends upon the requirement of the host institution, that is USA. If they put in this configuration, they can see more number of satellites. That means more, they can see means they can receive more signals from the satellites. Okay, that is the purpose of it. So the essentials foundation for GPS is how they developed. First, transit system, next is timation, other one is project 621B. Because of this constraint, after it took nearly 30 years to make a certified system. This is how the GPS is evolved. The typical parameters of this one, the satellites will rotate around the Earth about 3.9 kilometers per second. Orbital period is it will make one rotation for every 11 hours and 58 minutes. Okay, these are some of the important parameters. And as far as we are concerned, the Indian navigation system, it is also known as Indian Regional Navigation System, and its name is NAVIC. Navigation with Indian constellation. Its operational name is NAVIC. Now we go for the global navigation satellite system. What is global navigation satellite system is? It refers to the worldwide positioning, navigation and time determination capability available for one or more satellite constellations such as GPS, GLONASS and Galileo along with regional systems. No, the GNSS is a superset of navigation systems, satellite-based navigation systems. GPS has become a part of it. What it will give GNSS? 5 parameters it will give. What are those 5 parameters? Latitude, longitude, altitude, that is position. Navigation means it will give velocity also. And the 5th one is time. These 5 parameters are very, very essential, and it got innumerable applications. As Mr. Pratik said, we will see every GS maps, every map you will have Google Maps. All these are equipped with GIS systems. If you have got a car and if you all these are being led by your smartphones also, they got the GPS enabled systems. Okay. The GNSS, the global systems are, one is GPS of USA, Department of Defense. There are another system is GLONASS, that is a Russian system, Russian Department of Defense system. The third system is Galileo, that is a European system, but it is maintained by civilians and the European Space Agency. And BeiDou is there, Chinese system, global system. And as far as regional navigation satellite systems are concerned, we have India has got IRNSS, also operational name is NAVIC. The second one is CAPS, China Area Positioning Service. China has got it. QZS is Japan system. There are total 4 global systems and 3 regional navigation systems. Total 7 systems are there. All these will become a part of GNSS. To improve the further accuracy of all these positioning parameters, you got augmentation systems also. They are known as satellite-based augmentation system, GBAS, ground-based augmentation systems, and aircraft-based augmentation systems. Okay, like these augmentation systems, the American augmentation system is known as WAAS. Our European augmentation system is EGNOS. Japanese augmentation system EMSAS, and Indian augmentation system is known as GPS-aided geo system. Okay, that is the GPS augmented navigation system, GAGAN, GAGN. Okay, and our GAGAN system is also has become operational. That's the highest credit we are getting from ISRO, and we got a very good accuracy using our GAGAN system. You can use this GAGAN information along with GPS or along with IRNS also. So Indian regional navigation systems, how it works. This is IRNS architecture. Any architecture, GPS architecture or any, they will have 3 important components. That is space component. The other one is ground control segment. space segment, control segment, and the user segment. The control segments consists of the monitoring of the satellites, uploading the information also will be there. The IRNS service area. The IRNS service area, because it is regional system, Indian landmass and 1500 kilometers from Indian geopolitical boundary will be there. It is it gives a very comparable, sometimes better than GPS also, this positioning accuracy it will give. But how this IRNS constellation? In the first phase, it got 7 satellites. How they 7 satellites? There are no medium Earth orbit satellites. There are only geosynchronous and geosynchronous satellites are there. Okay. There are 4 geosynchronous satellites are there. Okay. There are 4 inclined ones and 3 geostation satellites. These 3 geostation satellites and 4 geosynchronous satellites will make a continuous coverage for whole India. Okay. This ground segment is a satellite control facility is in Hassan in Karnataka state, and the satellite control facility is another one is in Bhopal is also there, and headquarters is in Bangalore. And IRNS range and all this information is available in the websites, and it's very interesting to visit these places. Okay, what is the difference between GPS and IRNSS? In GPS, we got a 31 current satellites, even though typically 24. Now the more satellites is modernized satellites. The accuracy is 15 meters, positional accuracy, whereas IRNS has got 20 meters. Now it is improved, I think. 3 geostationary and 4 geosynchronous satellites. The altitude is 20,000 kilometers in the case of GPS, whereas in the case of IRNS is 36,000 kilometers. This inclination of the satellites are 55 degrees, whereas here the geosynchronous satellites are inclined 29 degrees. Orbital period is 12 hours here, whereas here 23 hours 56 minutes for IRNSS. Okay. These are the about the as much brief as I can give in this time period. Now we will see what type of research is going on, and if somebody is interested in the GPS and GPS related things, and a lot of people are interested, especially defense people are interested, and several people all there is a lot of commercial impact is also there. Okay. Prominent research project sponsoring agencies are the Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, DRDO, ISRO, and several other organizations also there. They sponsor the project, especially the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. There is a MSME is there. There is another branch of government agency there. They encourage startups and innovations of that project, MSME projects. They are very, very generous in giving projects in various areas. One of them area is GPS also. This Satellite Application Center, ISRO, and it got a research areas also. They announced GNS spoofing, jamming, integration of GSM navigation receiver, development of spaceborne GNS receivers. Like that, several important are there. Then VSC, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, ISRO, and data acquisition, signal processing, sensor instrumentation, power electronics, and other things. MEMS is there. Robotics, guidance and control, trajectory simulation analysis, avionics, guidance and control, space science. And the DRDO New Delhi also, you can have several projects in several schemes also there in this area by DRDO. And DRDO code diversity, frequency diversity, anti-jamming capability, and other. There is another aspect. There is somebody interested in working in GNS in foreign universities. The Stanford University is actively involved in this area, and cyber security of transportation, including anti-spoofing and jamming, software receivers, and University of Nottingham, UK also, they are very much interested in this type of works. Impact of new GNS signals on ionospheric propagation modeling, like that. Several are there. Development and use of map and geospatial ontology alignment and harmonization. These are some of the topics. There is another center, is Australian Center for Space Engineering Research. These people are actively also involved in GPS. This is very famous, Wuhan University. These people are also working in China. This one. Okay, precise point positioning, precise orbit arbitration. This important aspect, actually, a lot of people from India, they have done the project. One of the most important aspect in this one is Bengaluru one, Accord Systems are there. Couple of them, they went there and they studied there, they done their PhD in this university. They are very, very famous for doing that. Actually, this the person who guided these people is a civil engineer, but he is very famous for making a lot of products in GPS. Okay, that is very famous. You can check these things actually. University Calgary, position location. Signal acquisition and tracking algorithm development, including high accuracy, multi-frequency, multi-system signal processing, multi-sensor augmentation. These are the very, so sometimes they are more specialized ones in signal processing. The emerging demands are this GPS multi-constellation is very, very useful for aviation, for landing and takeoff. That is a completely highly specialized subject, and it needs a very precision, and it needs several parameters like accuracy, integrity, availability. All these parameters are to be 99.99%, they will be satisfied for aviation. So aviation is one of the most important area where GPS and the augmented systems have got tremendous applications. Okay. There is another aspect is equal to navigation via signals of opportunity and indoor navigation. Any signal you will get it, you take the signals along with available GPS signals, you try to improve the accuracy. But this NavSop that is now calling, there are a lot of information there. Infrared based navigation systems, this is the latest field, they are doing it. Networking techniques and systems. Radio frequency based systems, and 4G, 5G communication, green communication. So in 2014, Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded for discovery of brain's GPS. Okay, they found GPS-like thing as embedded in every human brain. Anything unknowingly, if you go to some place and if you see it, you can automatically find its position. Okay, for that type of finding, he got a Nobel Prize. He mentioned about GPS and other things. No field in the history of mankind has evolved so rapidly as the field of electronics. Okay, then the light fidelity. That is how things are going on in the latest field. Okay, tremendous bandwidth. Then the other important things everybody is looking after is the Internet of Things, IoT, burning topic in the field of electronics. In IoT, the GPS has become a part of it, also along with the other sensors. And radio frequency identification, RFID, it is a new world substitute for a universal product code. The another thing is outer net, a device that can be used to provide data connection to the remote areas. Another one is lantern, device called lantern. Lantern is used for receiving the data from satellites. Other emerging fields are 5G and 6G communications, driverless bodies including drones and driverless cars, artificial intelligence and machine learning, smart city concepts are all everywhere. They got a application for GPS. There are innumerable agriculture, engineering, forestry, industry, mapping and data collection, medical, military, indoor navigation, public related, recreation, sports, science, surveying. In all these fields, GPS. Our IRNS, Indian Regional Navigation Systems, it is being used in seawater, seawater levels to IRNS for buoy placement. They are being used even for fishing also to find the position where more fish are available. IRNS is being used because what they will do is they will get from remote sensing satellites the thermal images, and that thermal images, using those thermal images, wherever the temperature is relatively high, they will go there and fish will be there. More fish will be, they can get more fish there. For fishing also, they are using IRNS based, IRNS in fishing boats. So I think I just finished that 7 o'clock, 5 to 6, because I don't want to take your more time. I got a few things, how we have done. What is the name of the first artificial satellite? Can anybody tell?
Sputnik.
Sputnik, very good. Name the 3 essential foundations before the advent of GPS. Essential foundation means how it is evolved, GPS. First one is there are 3 important aspects have happened. Okay, what are those 3 important aspects? Transit, and that is transit satellite system, and the second one is timation project to find the time. The third one is a project 621B. These are the 3 things that happened before it took 30 years to fully develop the GPS. Before 30 years, all these things happened. Which techniques was used for positioning the world's first satellite-based navigation satellite system is Doppler effect, Doppler shift, they find. The another one I didn't mention about Navistar GPS. One person, that a military person, said, instead of GPS, you put Navistar GPS. He likes that sounding of Navistar. But somebody else has given the expansion for Navistar. That is, really, it was not there in the beginning. After that, they have given the expansion as navigation, satellite, timing, and ranging. Navigation, satellite, timing, and ranging. What is Navic? Navic is navigation with Indian constellation. What is the nominal orbital period of GPS satellite? How much time it takes to make one revolution around the Earth GPS satellite is 11 hours 58 minutes. Whereas IRNSS, it will also take almost 24 hours, 23 hours 58 minutes. They got a significance. They call it as a sidereal day. Because almost every day it continuously appears because they are in synchronous, geosynchronous satellites and geosynchronous satellites. Why geos are used in IRNS means we are using very limited satellites. That's why we are using geostationary satellite, geostationary and geosynchronous satellite, because we need continuous operation of the signals. What is GNSS and what are the other satellite navigation systems? Okay, there are a total 7 satellite navigation systems are there. GNSS is Global Navigation Satellite System. The other one is GLONASS, BEDO, Galileo, and IRNS, CAPS, China Area Position Service, and the other one is QJSS. There are 7 of them. What is the theme of this year's Science Day is? What is the theme of this one? Is science, technology, and innovation, impact on education and skills. That is the theme of this one. I will stop at this point, and if there are any queries, definitely I will take it. Otherwise, Mr. Pratik.
Hello, yes, sir. Can you please tell us about the limitations of GPS?
The limitations of GPS is, one is, it is operated by Department of Defense of USA. They can deny anytime the availability of GPS. Once during Kargil war, they stopped it. They assumed some of the services at particular region. So that's why that led, that forced us to develop our own systems, IRNSS. That is one thing. And the GPS as it is now, it cannot penetrate into indoor. Slightly recently they increased the signal. It can, at the most, it can enter one wall, but not many signals. Indoor navigation with the GPS is not possible. We have to augment it. That is one of the things. And nowadays, the Qualcomm also, it came into an understanding with IRNSS. Their IRNS enabled smartphones also coming up, instead of depending on GPS enabled systems. But based on GPS chips, actually GPS chips, it is coming with 500 rupees also. You can do a lot of devices that can be used in several applications, especially in IoT. Anything else, please?
No, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm stopping.